Welcome to Comfort Time with Aunty Yunike. If you're seeing me for the first time, you're welcome. Please come every time. So today's story is Can Do No Wrong. Can Do No Wrong is a story that I feel led to share because I had a brother whom I loved so much that to me he could do no wrong. He always begged me to say, I'm human, I can hurt you, and there's a thin line between love and hate. So you loving me so much makes me scared that should I hate you, you would switch from loving me so much to hating me. But as far as I was concerned, there was nothing he could do that could make me hate him. As always, before we go into it, I'm asking you, I'm encouraging you and encouraging everybody that you remember to subscribe, to like, share, and hit notifications so that you don't miss on any content that is uploaded. So I had a brother that I loved so much. He was my soulmate. And I feel comfortable saying that because I watched a video on YouTube, and this makes me so grateful to YouTube because YouTube is sharing so much content and we are all learning so much from YouTube. And I learned that a soulmate doesn't necessarily have to be someone you're involved with romantically. I always thought if someone is your soulmate, you have to be involved romantically. But it was explained to me that actually it can be your mother, it can be your father, your friend, your sibling, anybody that you interact with at that level. I know many of you might remember the video that was shared recently, and I'll show the link, energy. But in energy it's different because energy, you feel the presence of that person. It's the aura around that person that you pick up on. But with the issue of being close, the way my brother and I were, it's a totally different issue. And it's something that is targeted at just one person. Again, in the video Consequences, I talked about the consequences and I shared the story of my father, of how what the decisions he made, the wrong decision he made, ended up putting us in trouble. So when that happened, it meant that my brother and I had no one to give us the answers. I'm again sharing in the same video that children should be brought in, should be brought on board, they should be explained to when there are major changes in the family, when things happen, even when there's a separation and divorce or whatever major issues the family is dealing with. Children need to be explained to, because if you don't, they come up with their own answers. So when that happened and we had to move from a beautiful house to a very small house where we had shared a bedroom, we didn't have any answers. Mom and Dad never explained. Once in a while would hear them talking and would know, oh, it's about this, it's about that. We just came up with our own reasons, which were not true reasons. So because of how we grew up, we became so close. We had a bond that was unbreakable. We were very, very close. So now, what happened was that because of that closeness, you could not separate us. We always trusted each other. I trusted him completely. There was nothing he could do, that there was nothing you could say that could convince me that my brother could do anything wrong. Here I'm going to share with you a story of how just close we were and how we could tap into each other's feelings and emotions, even when we are very far apart. First, we shared a birthday, but 2 years apart. And my brother was a very gentle soul. He was a karateka, black belt karateka. But when you look at him, you'd never think, he was so gentle. You wouldn't know that this man actually has a black belt in karate. But that was my brother. So now I got ill while in Osaka. I got a migraine, a terrible, terrible migraine. I stayed in bed 24 hours. It still was not going away. The next day, I still could not get up. Somehow, my brother felt that I was not well, I was in danger. He didn't know how, but he just knew it. Because he called me to find out how I was, and I picked up the phone to respond, but I was so weak. I couldn't say anything, and the phone fell off my hands and I couldn't talk to him anymore after that. So he was now convinced that I was not well. He drove to the farm, to Mom. It's about 10 kilometers from where he used to live to the farm. He told Mom, we need to drive to Lusaka. Yunike is not well. And Mom was not impressed. She kept on saying, and how do you know that she's not well? Have you spoken with her? And you just say, I just know. Let's just go. So Mom couldn't argue. They got in the car and that's how they drove all the way to Lusaka. When they got here, they got to my house. The garden boy was of course around. So my brother noticed that the security lights were still on. That was the next day and it was around midday, but the lights were still on. So he called the houseboy and said, the lights are still on. What is going on? How is Yunike? When did you talk to her? And he says, I last spoke with her 2 days ago. So I said, so you last spoke with her 2 days ago, the security lights have been on for 2 days, and you didn't think there could be anything wrong? Says, oh, but madam, doesn't always want to come out, so she's probably busy with something. So my brother got very angry, he almost choked the poor guy. So now he started knocking on the door for me to open. And of course I was so weak, I was hoping the noise would die off, but it wasn't dying off. So then I heard him pick something to like break the lock. And the noise was too much because at that point I couldn't stand any noise. I could hear a pin drop. It was that bad. So now I wanted that noise to stop. So I crawled out of bed, picked the keys, went to the door, gave him the keys so that they could open. So they just opened the door, and my brother just picked me up like a rag doll, put me in his car and took me to the hospital. And I just said, it's a headache, it's my head, it's my head. And so the doctors said we need to check her. So we need to shave off her hair so that we can examine and get feedback as to exactly what's going on in her head. And I heard my mother and my brother saying, no, just cut off where you need to put the pins. At that point, I didn't care whether they shaved off my head. I just wanted that pain to go. But they wouldn't let the doctor do that, so they just cut pieces where they were to put the pins so that they could put me in a machine that was going to give them feedback as to what was going on. After that, we were given the medication and they were assured that that day that I should just take fluids, but the following day I will be fine and I can eat solids. And that's how now we stayed at home and they monitored me And of course, by the following day, I was feeling so much better, and we could actually laugh about the whole thing. So here I'm trying to share that being close comes from different situations. Sometimes going through a bad situation will bond you in a way that you become really close. Sometimes it's something good, great that happened that brought you together. So bonding comes to be because of different things that happen to us. Because of how we related to each other, there were many times that even I would feel led to cover him in prayer. There were times when sometimes I would be asleep and I'll just have this feeling that my brother is in danger. And I would wake up, light a candle, start praying and covering him in prayer. And the next day, when he's calling, he would tell me, you know what, at such and such a time, maybe I was in an accident or I was attacked, but from nowhere, somebody came to rescue me. And when I asked for the time, it would be the exact time that I was praying for him. So we were connected in the very spiritual way. And this could have happened because of the trauma that we shared, or it could have happened because it's just a blessing that was on us. So with such a brother, you can imagine how I was when he passed on. I could not mourn him because my mother was so broken. My brother was my mother's favorite child. And then my brother was my best friend. So now when I lost my brother and my mother had lost her favorite child and was so broken, I had to be there for my mother. I could not mourn my brother. Much as I too was broken, I had to shelve my feelings for the loss of my brother because I needed to protect my mother. But I had to be strong. I had to be there for my mother and shelve my pain and deal with it later. And that's exactly what I did. And when he died, like when we buried, I felt like a covering had been removed from me, because as long as my brother was there, I felt safe. I knew if I should get into any trouble, should anything go wrong, and it's not only about the fact that he was a black belt karateka, just the person that he was, I knew he would cover me, he would take care of me, he would protect me. I know my first protector is my God, but my brother came close. So now that that happened, I too was broken, but I had to shelve my pain, my suffering, to help my mother deal with her pain and her suffering. I pray that this encourages you and that this shows you that we all bond for different reasons and that it's nothing wrong. And for you also, I hope you have learned from my video, as I learned from the YouTube video, that you being that close to your sibling, to your mother, to your friend, to your father is nothing new, that it's something that is normal, that the issues of being a soulmate to another person is normal. This really freed me, and I hope that frees you. Thank you so much for watching. I pray that you've given me some information that's helpful and useful to you. Comfort Time continues. See you in the next video.